What's up, guys? Welcome to today's live. It has been a minute since we are on live. It's actually been maybe 3 or 4 months. A lot has happened. I'm really excited to share with you guys, give you guys an update in terms of where we've been, where I've been, what we've been up to, what we've been cooking, and what we are going to cook. First and foremost, I appreciate each and every one of you that has been following and supporting us for such a long time. And there's been a lot of resistance getting back on live. Once you break momentum, it's really hard to actually come back. But one, I want to give you guys an update on everything that we've gone through over the last few months, get you fully up to speed. And of course, I want to share with you everything that is coming ahead. So the last time I went live, I think it was the announcement when we hit our first 6-figure month. And for those of you guys that don't know, this was 5 years in the making. It has been a long time coming. Our first 6-figure month, it was huge. And it almost felt like a fluke, only for us to double that 3 months later. And we hit our record month of 233 net, and I think it was like 250 gross. We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Last 6 months, I can confidently say I've learned more in the last 6 months than I have in the last 5 or 6 years. Learning about leadership, team management, being able to build a business, and being an actual CEO, and also being able to create more opportunities. We now run 3 businesses, essentially, 2.5. So we have the fitness business offer, which is now evolving. I want to give you guys an update on that. I also do business coaching for my mentor, and we also have an appointment setter agency as well. And so total for this month, I think we're around like 150. And to give you an update, what I've learned, number one is really valuing your time. I've learned to really appreciate my time and be able to try to milk every minute I could. And, over the last 6 years, Hang and I have been trying to build this business, and we've put so much time and effort into it, but it was more so a personal branding than an actual business itself. And now we actually have a team that is self-perpetuating. Everyone is now their own leader, and we're able to work together synergistically together. And Hang and I are able to take a step back from the business, and not so that we can take time off, but really so we can actually focus on reinvesting our time, effort, and energy into the team, developing everyone, and providing the tools and resources that everyone needs. After being able to hit the 6-figure month, we've been able to expand our team. In December, we had a team of 4. Now we have a team of like 18. We have an acquisition team, fulfillment team, content team, and now a tech team. We're building out systems that other coaches can actually utilize as well, a web-based app. And we're in talks of developers to actually make that happen. We're calling it FBOM, which is Fitness Business Operations Management. When I went to Bali, I had to learn to delegate the closing process, the discovery calls to a team. And that's been a big bottleneck for a while. And we've been able to solve that now. We have a great team that's able to take those calls. And when I was in Bali for an athletes retreat, it actually inspired me to do what? To actually better do more with my time. I realized that now I can buy my time back. I wanted to make the most of it. And so we started an appointment setter agency. We had a really good in-house system to hire and train appointment setters, and other fitness coaches in the mentorship were having trouble finding their setters. So we're like, why don't we just productize this? And just in the first 21 days of running this, while I was on a Bali trip for 7 of those days, we are currently at 45,000 cash collected. And some of you that have been following us for a while might be wondering, why am I sharing so much of the financial stuff? Because what I've come to realize that this is what my passion is, which is personal development and running the business. And this is something that's relevant to me. This is not to flex the money or the success. If any of you guys have been following me for a long time, know who I am and what I'm about. And it's all about being the best you can. And when you focus on the day-to-day boring stuff, the consistency, it will eventually amount to big things. And it's crazy to think that I'm now a 7-figure business owner. And by the end of this year, we're going to have 2 businesses that are at 7 figures. And then by this time next year, we're going to have 3 businesses that are at 7 figures. And one of the things that I've been learning, which I want to share with you in a moment, is a lot of my personal limiting beliefs, which again, I'm going to share. But it's really crazy to reflect back and be in the position that we're in, and we're aware of what these numbers mean to some people. Some of it just doesn't even sound real. $250,000 in a month. That is the amount of money that people make over 5 years. And we do that in 30 days. And just 2.5 years ago, our lowest moment of despair in 2023, negative 90K on the Amex. There was a time where I was hanging out, waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to enter the US market. And we were dialing, getting abused. I was on calls one day, went to the groceries, and she texted me. And she's like, I have to go home because there's no money in the account. Swiped the card, declined. We couldn't even pay for groceries. And she had to pretend like she forgot her wallet in the car to go home. And I remember in that moment, I told myself, I will make sure that we're never in this position ever again. I screenshotted it, and across all of our accounts during that time, we were at negative $500. We're waiting for invoices to clear, but we still led with a smile. We never gave up. We never put that pressure on any of our clients, anyone that supported us. We just kept showing up. And after 2.5 years of making enough mistakes, we've gotten to this point where we've learned from every single mistake. We know why those were mistakes and what to do moving forward, and things are starting to materialize. And it's a whole lot of nothing until it's a whole lot of everything. And it's such a crazy position for us to be in that this week we have a very special announcement. And this is something I'm manifesting, and we are possibly going to be moving into a new place within the next 1 or 2 weeks. And this place is an absolute dream. And I was contemplating whether I should share this, but I should, because I need to manifest it into reality. It is a 10th floor penthouse. It is a top level penthouse with 360-degree views of the beach and the city. It's floor to glass ceilings for 3 of those walls, and it's like 10 or 20 meters in length. And the office is going to be in the living room with floor to glass ceilings. You can look into the beach. You can look into the docks. You can look into the city. It looks like an absolute dream. There's a balcony that just goes around the whole building. And it's a big journey. Like, why are we moving into that penthouse? There's so many different reasons. And if you guys have been following me in my story, you'll see that I have holes in my socks. I actually have holes in my socks right now, right? All my socks have holes in them. But the problem is, I have this persona of this humble, successful guy. However, it pigeonholes me into this identity where it disallows me to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And Hang and I have always had this dream. And if we go back to one of these podcasts, I probably did talk about it, that we would want to be able to move into a penthouse before we have kids. I don't know if I want to buy a penthouse. It's probably not the best financial investment, but we definitely want to live in a penthouse, like elevator into the apartment kind of penthouse. Stuff like you see in Power. If you watch Power, that was the dream. And so we work so hard to be able to afford this future. But also along the way, none of this would have been possible without the team that we have. An absolute superstar team that believed in us from the start, the supporters, the clients, everyone. And we remember everyone that has supported us. You know, most importantly, someone like Nam. We weren't able to pay Nam for 8 months. I was late on paying his commission for a whole 8 months while he was working a full-time job and then spending 5, 6, 7 hours every single day fulfilling the clients. And Nam believed in us and he believed in the vision for a whole 8 months. People like that were the backbone of what made this possible. And because I understand all the work that everyone had to put in, I felt like the success of the business over the last 6 months was owed to them. You know, everyone in the team has had pay rises and promotions, but I also feel like we're in a tough economic climate right now. You know, we're asking people in middle class to spend a lot of money to invest towards their mentorship, the growth and development. And it's obviously proportional to the results that they get or the development that they get, the growth that they get. However, I feel like it's money that I owe to the team, money that I owe to our supporters, money that I owe to the clients. So it doesn't feel like it's my money or our money. It's the team's money. And it's my moral duty and obligation to reinvest that back towards the team to make sure we continue to grow, investing into mentorship, obviously their pay rises and promotions and everything. And, you know, there's also a part of me that is afraid of judgment. People support you when you're the underdog, but it'll come to a point where your success reminds them of the life that they could live, and then you become the villain. it becomes that traditional battle between consumer and business, that the business is taking money from the consumer's pocket into theirs. And like there's also this stigma online of coaches. I'm sure you might have seen Ashton Hall, for example, this jacked guy that posts his morning routine. It's obviously, just rage bait. And there's a consensus that the coaching space is a scam, that we're charging exorbitant amount of monies from the middle class and to fund their extravagant lifestyle. And I think just it's that scarcity mindset that I've grown up in an Asian background that has programmed me to vilify successful/rich people. We associate money as being bad, and that the poor or the general middle class is what's good. And so when I think about an expensive or rich area, or people driving supercars, there's a part of me that feels a certain way. I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be bougie. And I realized that was just my conditioning, because I didn't start this dream to live an average life. In my previous podcast, I've shared when I was 16, I wanted to drive a supercar, I wanted to be in a penthouse, and I want to have a beautiful wife. And I'm ticking off some of those boxes right now. And that was always my goal. And there's a part of me that's afraid what people might think, that did I change? You see guys like Conor McGregor, that on his way up, he was so stoic, he was zen, and he was wise, very articulate. And I'm afraid like I'm in that position right now, but what if I were to change? I have a genuine fear that once I achieve all these levels of success, I have a vision board right there. I'm staring at it right now. And within the next 1 or 2 years, I want to be able to tick off everything that's on that vision board. The growth that we're on is exponential. When we hit our first 6-figure month, it took us 4.5 years to be able to hit it. And when we hit it, I just knew that we were so close to the next level. And last year, before we hit our first 6-figure month, where we were at like 50 to 80, I just knew that we were just one step away from hitting 100. Then when we hit 100, I just knew that we were one step away from hitting 200. Even Hank didn't believe me. And then we finally hit it. And we hit it just 2.5 months later. And we doubled it back to back. And this month is considered a slow month, and we're at 150. And by the end of this year, we're looking at $500,000 a month. And then by this time next year, we're looking at least $1 million a month across all the businesses. And that's life-changing, mind-blowing money. Now, did I do all that just so I can still have holes in my socks? I know there's a novelty to it. I like the fact that I still have holes in my socks, but I want to be able to drive supercars around. I want to be able to live life without limitations. And this is so hard for me because when, there's one of the reasons why Hang and I we want to move out is we live in a dangerous area. We live in the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne, and I shit you not, there are people, and I have video recording of this, ripping bongs and nangs at 9 o'clock in the morning in front of our house. I'm pretty sure there's a tobacco store literally 15 meters away from my house. I'm pretty sure they sell weed there. I've had to save someone from ODing to death at 10 o'clock at night time. That was scary. I had to keep him alive while the ambulance came. There are people that are being shot and burned literally around the corner from us, and it is unsafe for us to walk around at night. And that's just not a mindset and an environment for us to be in. And like, I grew up in the West. There's no reason for me to stay in the West. I need to elevate my company. I need to move forward. I need to surround myself with successful people, because being around the people here, it changes the way that you think. It vilifies that type of success. And it teaches me to live below my means and just think about my basic human needs. But like, why? This is your once and only life. If you work hard, you deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And speaking to a buddy of mine who owns a tire shop, talking to him last year saved me and the business. I became a slave to my business. I stopped looking after myself, and I didn't even want to cut my hair. I just had a samurai cut. If any of you guys remember that, I had a samurai cut only because I wanted to get out of the shower and not have to dry my hair or put any product in. I just didn't want to look after myself. I had looked in shambles. I'll actually upload a photo later today. There was a photo that was taken at 4:20 in the morning, and Hang and I were high as a freaking kite. I was a high functioning addict. And having this conversation with Sang, the guy that owns a tire shop, he reminded me that business ownership and entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. Him and his sister have spent hundreds of thousands on coaching and mentorship. And one of them was Tony Robbins Platinum, which is like $120,000 a year. Including all the travel, it's $250,000 a year. And that reminded me that I needed to look after myself. And having a conversation with him over the weekend, with him and his sister, it reminded me that wanting more is not the problem. And being around that and living that life is not the problem, because rich, successful people are actually very grounded. They're focused on servant leadership, serving and giving back. And the more that you have, the more that you can give. You can be generous. Think about how nice you are. You know, for us young guys, you know, I used to go to raves a lot. And you'll take drugs, you take MDMA. When you take MDMA, you're nice to everyone. It just goes to show how you really treat people when you don't have life stresses weighing you down. And it just reminded me that I am doing everyone around me a disservice if I'm not the most successful version of myself. I'm not able to fulfill my own cup. And that the more that I have, the more that I can give. And I think moving into this place for us represents and symbolizes so much more than just a penthouse or just a place. You know, people online, they like to flex these things, but that's not us. And I think, you know, you guys know who we are, but it represents so much more. It represents abundance. It represents deservingness of success. It represents of what's possible, you know, growing up in the western suburbs of Melbourne only to make it out and be able to make something of yourself, to inspire. I have the opportunity to live the dreams that most people will never have the opportunity in the whole entire life. What a waste if I don't actually make the most of it. And I realize that this is my responsibility. It's my privilege to be able to give back, show people what success is what it really is. It's not the thing, but it's about showing up every single day. And then when that time does come, to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So big milestones, and we're cooking. We're going to go back on daily podcasts, but we're going to work our way there. I have a really close buddy of mine. Now he's practically a brother, and he's pretty much the chief of operations in Achieve Championship. It's helping me rebrand, really figure out our identity. And so for the last 4 years, I've been known as the fitness guy, and we had a fitness program, but now it's actually evolved to be so much more than that. It's actually closer to personal development, high performance, focusing on the four main pillars of life, which is purpose, performance, prosperity, and presence. And so we've evolved our offer now. And that's why I'm sharing more of the business stuff, because that's the thing that's relevant to me. I don't want to have to pigeonhole myself to just creating fitness content. I haven't created content about calories and macros in years. Our clients are getting great fitness progress, but I've evolved. So it's time that the program evolves to be able to help others who are also on the same journey, that want to be better. And so my avatar, my ideal clients are actually the people that are actually part of the team now. We have Nelson, who worked an NPC job, and now he's actually part of the team and is one of the coaches. He's doing amazing. He's got like 70, 80 clients. We have Gino, new addition to the team. He's our tech guy. We have Drew. He's now our discovery call taker or closer, if you will. And then we have Ryan, who was once my competitor, once had it against me or had some kind of animosity, and we'd be able to hash that out. And now we're literally brothers. He's my right-hand man. And these four guys are my avatar. They're the people that I want to continue to work more with, to be able to serve them, help them, show them their potential. Sounds so cliched, but really help them reignite their purpose, give them a sense of direction and something to work towards and a place where they get to belong. And what this is called is the rising tide. I'm very grateful that over the last few years, I've had close friends that are very successful in running the fitness business. And one of them, notably, is Derek, one of my competitors. I actually got him into online coaching. And for the first 1.5 years, our business, because we've been around longer and it's between Hang and I's offer, we would double the revenue that he was. And in 2023, that's when the roles reversed. He eventually became double what we were. And then last year, when we hit rock bottom, he was like double, even triple. But seeing him succeed was the best thing that's happened to me, because it reminded me that it's not the market, that it's my fault. It's something that I'm not doing. And that feeling of seeing him succeed, it made me feel extremely uncomfortable. just like I was drowning. But a rising tide lifts all ships. And especially as us as Asian men, we're grown up to not feel successful unless we're doctors or surgeons or engineers. And there's this life that our parents have paved for us that we're expected to just confine and live by. But that doesn't make us truly happy. And we just want to find something that we enjoy and where we feel like we belong. We're able to harness our potential, something that's going to last a lifetime. But that's hard to find. And the rising tide is an opportunity for guys like you and me to surround ourselves with highly successful people, to have high-level conversations about growth and turn ideas into reality rather than just let them be dreams. Let them be things that we think about and forget about, like these drunk D&M conversations about business. How many of you guys have had those types of conversations that go absolutely nowhere? You're super motivated in the moment. You have this bright idea and nothing happens the following day. But imagine if every idea that you had actually turned into reality. What would your life be like? And that is the purpose of the rising tide. And we have a level 1 and a level 2. Level 2 gets proximity to me, but I'm very excited. This is something that is 4 years in the making, and I've never felt more clear. I've never had the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom that I have now, and the resources to actually make it happen. And this new chapter of moving into this penthouse is going to represent our growth, waking up every single day on a high-rise building, unobstructed view of the beach, the surroundings, the city. There's peace and quiet at night where the city is dark, just shimmering lights in the background. Imagine going out on a nice place for dinner, a really nice place, only to come home to a nicer place, to wake up every single day and reminding yourself of that abundance, right? Reminding yourself of that rising tide, that pressure to succeed, to maintain that lifestyle and to continue to build upon that. That is what success is. So this is episode 1. We are back with our podcast. I'm very excited. I appreciate every single one of you that supported us along the way, every mistake that we've made, every lesson that we've learned, and every accomplishment that we've achieved. We see you, the ones that have been following us, ones that have been supporting us. I appreciate you more than you know. And my goal, my moral duty, and my responsibility is to continue to succeed, to remind each and every one of you what is actually possible when you lock the fuck in, when you have a sense of direction, you have a sense of purpose, and you stay true to yourself and you stay true to your goals, what is actually possible. Very exciting. Got quite a few viewers. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Let's go through some comments. Got some clients in here. Hang, welcome. Nam, thank you for tuning in. It's actually funny. We had an in-person seminar over the weekend, and Nelson did a speech about one of these podcasts, and there was only 4 people watching at that time, and one of them was Hang, and one of them was Nam, and one of them was Nelson before he joined, and it was just working. And what I said in that podcast was, it doesn't matter about the millions of people that don't watch it. What matters is the one person that does, and that person was Nelson, and look at him now. So very grateful to be in this opportunity that we are. Andrew, thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Megan, thank you for tuning in. We got like the whole team here. Got Derek here as well. Amazing. Got Nelly, got Liam. Yeah, you best bet I'm still going to have holes in my socks when we're in the penthouse. I'm going to dress exactly the same. And then in the background, you see that's the outside window. You'll be able to see outside into the city. That will be awesome. I hope I've done you guys proud. Daniel here, Daniel Brown Coach. Hey, Andrew, your fellow powerhouse athlete here. Wanted to know your opinion on brown men as a niche. Absolutely. The thing that I'll say to you about a niche is think about why. Don't just think about niching down because that's what the market is telling you to do. No one did Asians until I did it. Now everyone's doing Asians, and now I'm niching down even further. So when you think about niching down, it's not just about choosing a demographic that will pay you. You have to think about what unique problem are you able to solve. And so it doesn't even have to be a demographic. It could be a psychographic. It could be just some kind of common denominator, right? For example, if you want to target people in healthcare, some people choose healthcare just because they work in hospital, maybe they have money, they're financially qualified, but you have to be able to solve the problem. So what do you know about healthcare? There are people that always put others first, that it becomes their moral duty to serve their patients over their own. So you have a nurse that's about to go on break, and there's someone having a convulsion or an episode or what is it? You know, someone's like having a fit. When it's not a fit, epilepsy, right? What do? Do you just go into the break room and just enjoy your muesli bar? Well, you're going to go and help. And so it means that they always put others first. They put themselves last. They probably don't look after the nutrition. They're probably malnourished. They feel weak. And when they come home, they don't have the mental bandwidth to be able to look after themselves, to continue to make those positive decisions. And so sometimes what they need is not a system. They just need someone to actually talk to. They just need empathy. They need connection. They need understanding, something that adapts with their shift in their schedule. And so if you can solve that problem, then you can niche down. So if you're choosing brown men, that's great. But what unique problem are you solving that only brown men experience and you can solve? Because if you're just calories and macros, why can't you open that up to everyone else? Make sense? So that's a lesson on niching down. You have to be able to solve a unique problem beyond just a nutrition and training plan, because every fitness trainer out there is doing the exact same thing. And so you got to develop your own unique mechanism, and you will naturally find your tribe when you create personal branding. Thank you, Heng. I miss these daily podcasts too. Megan, what do you feel like the biggest impact will be for people to experience working with you? What do you feel the biggest impact will be for people to experience working with you? What would be the biggest impact that they experience for people? Let me read. What do you feel the biggest impact will be for people to experience working with you? I don't know if I understand that question. I assume what you mean is, if people were to work with me, what would be the biggest impact, or what would be the main tangible outcome? And the biggest thing that I would say is like clarity and direction. You know, the common denominator that I see with a lot of these, especially these Asian guys, is knowing that you have potential, because you learn quick. Your parents have conditioned you to not fall behind, because we're the underdog growing up in Western society. So we always have a chip on our shoulder. And because in terms of our stature, we're just smaller, we occupy less space, and we're easily dominated by our Western counterparts. And so the only way for us to win is by our intellect. And because we've programmed to be as intelligent as possible, we learn very quickly. But what happens is you might have the technical ability to learn, but you don't have a direction to work towards. And so you might jump from one job to another. You never fully put 100% in, because at the back of your mind, you always know that this job is going to be temporary. Just like a relationship. How do you completely open yourself up to a relationship that you know is inevitably going to end? And so what a lot of these guys, what they need is just a purpose to work towards. Something that they know is going to be long-term and sustainable. And that's really their personal development. It's them. They will scale in any economy and in any job. And that's exactly what I've done. I focus on building my skills. And so when I saw a gap in July, within a couple of days, we were able to start up a business and better monetize it. And now we're close to 50,000 in cash collected, because of the skills that I have acquired through the personal development of understanding how to ask the right questions, how to find out what I know and what I don't know, how to source the answers, how to communicate, manage, and lead a team. Again, this comes down to having a purpose, a sense of direction. And once you have that, a sense of belonging, camaraderie, surrounding yourself with others who think and act and behave differently, it's the rising tide that brings out the inner dog in you. You get to find out what you're really made of, what you're really worth. And I still cannot believe that I grew up in St. Albans, next to a park where there were syringes and condoms at the playground. I was isolated every single year level in primary school because I didn't get along and I was hyperactive. I failed a lot of tests despite being very smart, very intelligent, but I just didn't have the ability to focus. I was never given the opportunity to really figure out who I was, only for this week for us to have a chance to be able to move into this penthouse as the starting point. And in some people's eyes, we've made it. In my eyes, we're just cooking. We're just getting started. And I already committed the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years towards our future. nothing from now to then actually matters. So I'm just very grateful to be on this journey. And I think just having that proximity to someone that is continuing to grow, that the ship is sailing with or without them, it's one of the most powerful things that you can be a part of. So that's the value proposition. I'm very excited to launch this in the next week or so. New content is coming. New podcasts is also coming. And yeah, and just kind of think back on this podcast, just the final notes before we wrap up. I think it's also crazy how far my communication has grown. That going on this podcast doesn't feel that foreign. And I listened to some old podcasts from 3 years ago. It's night and day difference. The way that I show up on camera, the way that I speak, my tonality, energy. And it's one of those things that you just don't notice. But if you stay consistent enough, you'll eventually develop all the tools and the skills that you want. And of course, if you have the right support, it's going to accelerate that progress. And so shout out to all my coaches and mentors that I have. I'm very grateful to have someone like Will in my corner, my business coach. I'm also his CSM. And so, yeah, I'm very committed to building these two things. Anyway, it's time to ramble now. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll see you guys again, hopefully when we're at the penthouse. Peace.